Live. Hi guys. that's how I started.
That's how you're starting it.
After all that anticipation. Hey guys, how's it going? My name is Adam Fletcher. I'm the community lead for Diablo, and we are here for the next
cranking my speakers
live stream. And I'm joined by this wonderful panel of people.
So you're overstating it, but
I'm
okay,
overstating it, but yeah.
Rod Ferguson, general manager of all things Diablo.
Joseph Pipora, I'm the associate game director for Diablo 4.
Megan Clark, director of product.
Man, I just gotta say, we absolutely have to pause this video before it ends, like right at the end, because if the next video fucking shows up, we are all getting our ears fucking blasted. Because I have to have this so fucking high. Okay. Yeah, I can't even hear you.
We have a really packed show today, and there's a lot of stuff, obviously, going on with Diablo lately. I mean,
Really?
I'm not sure if you've
nothing
heard.
going on. I thought didn't you just get back from vacation?
Hopefully they noticed it through the live stream or something and they fix it. His voice seems fine, but she is definitely like, no.
We're only, what,
22 days.
2 weeks? 3 weeks? I think I've lost all
the
track of
launch?
time. 3 weeks till early access.
22 days.
22 days. Oh, look, we have a wonderful
See,
countdown.
there you go.
Oh.
22 days,
Yeah,
4 hours, 15 minutes, 43 seconds.
Exactly, until the early access actually starts. So if you actually have early access with a deluxe version or ultimate version of Diablo 4, you will be able to play here in a little over 3 weeks, which is pretty insane to think about.
It's wild to imagine having worked in this game for such a long time and then finally be able to be like, we're 3 weeks away. You know, it's like it feels like, oh, we're 2 months away. We're 3 months. It constantly, it's just like, oh my God, I can't believe it's finally here. It's almost time to play Diablo 4.
But you know what we can do before launch to play Diablo 4?
Play server slam.
Hey, there you go.
No,
I couldn't throw it any harder.
but
This isn't a bit, guys. We're just bad at this.
we're just at it. This is live, by the way. So yeah, we actually do have our Diablo 4 server slam. It starts on May 12th. It goes through the 14th.
Yeah, this was on like May 10th or something, so.
Great, and it helps us a ton.
We've done some balance updates for classes to kind of like adjust based on like data we saw as we're looking at like how players were actually playing.
I've never seen this chick before. What's she here for?
Exciting. We made some adjustments to like the drop rates. Now they're more reflective of the actual base game experience when we'll be launching in the near future. So during the last beta, we had like an accelerated drop rate for legendary items. Now you're going to get a sense of like what's going to really feel like in those early levels of Diablo 4. To try to like fight and try to find those legendary items.
Right. So actually, Server Slam will actually prove to be a little bit more challenging because the level cap is lower. It's not 25. It's 20. So you max it at 20. So you have essentially 5 less skill points to play with, and legendaries aren't going to be raining from the sky the way they were during the beta. So we have this notion of getting to level 20 to get your wolf pack.
So less fun
to try to take on a Shava, but like a Shava is going to be more challenging than last time because of that. 5 less skill points and not as many legendaries. So that's going to be really interesting to see if people can get to level 20 and beat a Shava. But it's a more accurate representation. It's sort of like people talked about how.
I love how he says that. It'll be interesting if people get to 20 and beat a Shava. Like, for starters, it's done. And I did beat a Shava, but you know what it took? You had to bump it to tier 1 to do it. Yeah, because of being limited to level 20 and like he said, 5 less skill points and less my hair is flying in my mouth. Less legendaries and all that. So you had to put it on easy mode. Yeah. I think the closest I saw was there was one group that I guess did it on tier 2, but they had 1 second remaining. So like, it could have been a fail. And I gotta imagine that was a group of people that geared after 20.
How does it actually feel to go from 1 to 20? And this is actually, essentially the path we're pretty close to what we're shipping with at launch. Even a new font. We didn't talk about the new font.
That's true. We definitely have also updated the font. So there's a lot. What we're really trying to say is there's a lot to look forward to as far as Server Slam, and importantly, please come check it out. It really is going to help us for launch to make sure that we get as many players as we can, stressing out the servers and making sure that we have accurately estimated everything. So we're in a really great spot.
So Kagan, what class are you playing in Slam?
I only ever play Rogue. I hate to
You
be that
only
person.
ever play Rogue?
I only play Rogue.
Okay, I am so glad they fixed her mic because I was worried that we were gonna watch this fucking dev stream and only hear these three guys, and then every time she talked, we would hear nothing. So yay, they noticed that there was a volume issue.
Rogue. I really like high mobility classes. So like, you know, I want to zip around.
Rogue is that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I got my druid up to 25 last time, and I got a barbarian up to 25 last time. I'm looking forward to jumping, I think, into a necro this time. Oh, and I got my sorceress up to 25 last time as well.
Nice.
But necro this time. I wanted to hit all 5. I didn't have time to get all 5 this time. But this round, I want to try to get my my necro up.
And Adam?
Ooh, I don't know. I'd probably say Necromancer this time. Yeah, I did Druid and Rogue last time, and you know I haven't played Necromancer since way back when, so I'm just like, okay.
I did Necro too. The last time I did Druid and well, I tried to do Necro the last time, but by the time I leveled the Druid, I had time to level the Necro to level 5. But this time I leveled the Necro to 20, and then I leveled the Rogue, the Barb, the Sorceress, and what am I missing in there other than Druid? I guess nothing. Rogue, Barb. No, I'm missing something. Rogue. No, because I said Necro. Yeah, so I leveled the Necro and then also Rogue, Barb, and Sorceress to 10. So, yeah. So I got to test them all out.
Yes, we have played the game before, other people.
You have access to Diablo 4 where other people
Amazing,
don't?
yeah.
And one of the questions we get around that is like, because we have cross-play and cross-progression, you know, obviously you can play on console, you can play on PC, you can play with others on console or PC, and your progress carries over no matter where you are. But that's also true for things like the rewards and the incentives. So as an example, if you were to play Server Slam on Xbox as an example, or PlayStation, and you earn the rewards for the Beta Wolf Pack or the Cry of Ashava, like that stuff will carry over when you switch platforms. Same thing for the stuff when you buy the Ultimate Edition, that stuff will carry over to other platforms. And so, you know, when people are like, oh, I want to buy 2 versions, I'm going to buy the console version and a PC version, you can buy the Ultimate in one and the Basic in another and share those rewards.
Yeah, the only caveat though is that early access.
I'm just gonna say, like, obviously, you know, it makes sense to buy 2 copies, but I'm just gonna say, Ultimate. Ultimate's like, well, over here anyway, Ultimate is 130 and then base is 90. So you're still working out a decent amount of money if you want 2 copies. Yeah.
From the Ultimate version.
See, me, I would do it like I did D3. With D3, I got it on PC first, and then and then they had released it later on console, and I waited for a sale. Yeah, because I was already maining it on PC. So yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah, just buy it on one for now.
Or the deluxe version stays on the platform that you actually purchase.
Yeah.
So if you are wanting to play early access on PC, make sure to get the PC version, and you can buy like a PlayStation version or an Xbox version, and actually carry over all those other incentives over between different platforms.
That was an excellent job at fine print. You did the fine print beautifully there with a little
Thank
asterisk
you.
caveat on that.
Thank you.
The lawyers have asked me to say that you only get early access on the
I've answered
platform.
that question many times for the last couple of months. So, but we do have a lot to talk about today.
Yes.
I think one of the biggest things that we've been hearing from the community is the discussion around seasons and how they will work in Diablo 4.
Wait, that's what we're here to talk about?
Yeah, exactly.
So
That's why I'm watching.
Remember why we're here.
I don't read any of this. I don't read that, man.
But as we all know, like seasons are a big part of Diablo itself. You know, we have seasons in Diablo 2, seasons in Diablo 3.
Season 4 on May 4th
4.
for Diablo 2 Resurrected. And we're still season 28 on Diablo 3.
Yes.
So rocking that out. So yeah, exciting.
Yeah, so but Seasons of Diablo 4 has been a big question because a lot of people want to know how it kind of works and like the structure of it and so forth. And thankfully, we have Joe and Kagan here to help us and talk about that. Oh, I guess Rod too.
No, I'm just here to interrupt the flow and annoy them. That's my job.
But Joe, how do Seasons in Diablo 4?
Man, I want Rod's sweatshirt. Yeah. I've seen, like, there's been some D4 sweatshirts there. They're on the shop, but his is the best. Yeah. Yeah, they always get the best, right? The employees. Yeah, we always get the shit stuff.
Pork.
Adam Fletcher, thank you so much for asking me. I'd love to talk about this for a bit. So let's talk about Seasons. All right, so we're gonna have a helpful infographic to show you in just a second, but let me talk to you about Seasons as a general rule. You know, as we're thinking about Diablo 4 and the launch product of the game, we are trying to make sure that we
Just gonna say, I can't wait to see what he's got to say because the comments on this video are disabled. So yeah, I am looking so forward to this video. I can't wait to see why the comments got disabled.
We've got a really great experience that players are going to be able to enjoy for their first, character playthrough of the campaign and have an excellent experience. Seasonal content, our post-launch content, is going to be arriving shortly after the launch of the base game.
Mid to late July.
Mid to late July, actually. It's good. Yeah. We haven't talked about that yet, but absolutely, it is mid to late July. You've heard it from Rod first.
Water, in case you're curious.
So that's the goal. We want to make sure that you've got enough time to play through your first character and really enjoy the campaign
Because he's
at your own
hot.
pace and kind of explore potentially different classes as you go. So when we're thinking about Seasons in Diablo 4, we start off with thinking about a theme, the seasonal content of that season. So we're going to have 4 seasons a year, 1 per quarter, and each of these are going to have a really strong theme associated with them.
I think the first season should be greed. Just because I had to pay $130 for the game.
And this theme is going to basically inform the things we want to do with all the content within the season, with things that might be appearing in the battle pass, things in the seasonal quest line, things associated with like the new gameplay mechanics we'd be adding as part of that season. We really want to make sure these things feel like they're connected in one coherent experience for players when they log in and they play during the season.
Right.
Yeah.
And so as part of that season, then to carry that theme forward, you're going to want to obviously have some sort of context or narrative around the season. Yes. Yes,
that's absolutely right. So that leads us to the seasonal quest line. So one of the questions I see get asked either like online or occasionally we'll see in like various chat channels is just that like how are we thinking about story as a with regards to like the live service and how are we extending the story of Diablo 4? And there's kind of like 2 approaches to the way that we're looking at things. With regards to Seasons, we're not going to be using this as an opportunity to expand upon the campaign story of Diablo 4.
Right.
The campaign story of Diablo 4 featuring like Anarius and Lilith and the events of the Wanderer, those events are really going to be told over the course of our expansions, our post-launch expansions that we're not talking specifically about today. But that's really where the high-level narrative of Diablo 4 will continue to unfold. But that leaves our hand open to do really interesting things in Seasons. So if a season is supposed to have like a theme with a gameplay mechanic and other things associated with it, it allows us to have like one really engaging seasonal quest line that manages to deliver on like a self-contained story that's going to guide the player through like again the mechanics and the themes of that season. So like these are still like really big events that are happening in the world of Sanctuary, where the player is going to be able to like step in the role of the Wanderer and like kind of go and help people and like and explore interesting mechanics.
Right. So you're not bound. The ideas around the season are not bound by the campaign. You're basically creating quest lines in the open world that can be completely different and completely. It's not constrained to. It has to be about the Anarius and Lilith story. It can be about anything that's sort of interesting you want to play into in the open world, right?
Absolutely. So if, for example, we had a season theme for the first season, which, again, we will not be discussing today, folks. We're going to save season 1 to talk about a little bit later on.
Yeah, we plan on talking about season 1 after launch.
That's right. But let's say, for sake of argument, that the first season was, the theme was about zombies.
Which it is not.
No, this is a false premise, okay? But let's just say, for sake of argument, that it was about zombies as the theme. That means that like things that be showing up in the battle pass might be related to some like zombie stuff.
It will eventually, it might not be the theme for season 1, but the fact that you're even mentioning it, it will be a theme down the road.
The season quest line might be about like the rising of zombies.
Especially since who wouldn't want zombies as a theme, right?
about Sanctuary, like that, we try to make sure these things all feel connected. So seasonal quest line, it's going to introduce new characters, like great voice acting, memorable quests and experiences will guide the player through the season. That's the way that we're looking at things.
And so then that also then, I feel like I'm doing your job, actually. Am I doing your job? I apologize.
No, you're doing great.
Oh, thanks, Adam.
You're doing amazing.
Thank you for the daily affirmation. I'll
I'm
give
just
you
gonna
20
leave
bucks
now.
later. Sorry, I'm just curious. I think like when you think about the theme, that obviously goes beyond story construct, but also goes into the mechanics, like how you think about gameplay. Yes.
Absolutely, and that brings us to the next major thing that I want to discuss, which is fresh gameplay. This is what I would. This is the great. Yes. So fresh gameplay. So with every new season, obviously we'll be introducing new story content, which I already described. And then we want to introduce new mechanics and gameplay for players to engage with over the course of that season. So this comes down to things like just new power for players to earn or ways to experience the growth of their character. Things are going to modify and change the way they're going to want to approach building their character every season. This goes beyond meta changes or like balance and tuning and things like that. It really comes down to like just wholesale like new features and things that are going to be available for the duration of that season for players to experience. And then at the termination of the season, when the season is over, these sorts of features are going to be retired to be considered for, again, in the future if we like them or not. But for now, we want to make sure that we're kind of maintaining a certain level of parity across the game, and we're not kind of creating layers of like cruft and distraction from the core Diablo experience, which we already feel is tuned very well. So yeah, we're really excited to talk about those a little bit more in the future, but you can expect like exciting new features and gameplay to engage with between new monsters and mechanics, things for players to craft or do, change their gear, or just change their skills. So we're really excited about that stuff in the future.
And then when you think about seasonal stuff, we talked about, when you look at, say, Diablo 3 has the chapters that you go through to get Hager's Gift and those sorts of things. So there's a sense of progression through a season. And we've obviously talked about the Battle Pass and how the Battle Pass will be in our previous blog around this stuff as well. But it's good to clarify again. So when you think about not just like, okay, I have a seasonal narrative, I have a seasonal mechanic or gameplay hook now, but how do I think about progression within a season?
Sure. So great question. So when we're thinking about seasons, we want to make sure we are creating new opportunities for long-term progression. The first version of that we want to talk about really is the season journey, which does make a return from Diablo 3. So inside the season journey, the player is going to have an opportunity to complete a number of different objectives that are tied to mechanics, story goals, or other things that are happening during the course of the season. I think we might actually have an image for the season journey we can maybe pull up as well that might help me explain some parts of this.
I think we hid the zombie stuff though, so there's no zombies.
There's no zombie stuff on this stuff, yes.
No zombies.
Yes, please note the top secret labels for this because we realize there's no image we can show that doesn't start to give away some of the things we're doing in season 1. Too bad, you're going to be able to talk more. We'll talk more about that a little bit later on.
You can kind of see some stuff behind, but it's, it's pretty blurry.
But here in the season journey, players are going to be able to complete a number of these objectives, as I already called out. Objectives are separated into chapters. One of the big changes that we made as part of the season journey is we've ensured that now players don't need to actually complete every one of the objectives within a chapter in order to advance. They could choose to go back and still complete.
So if I go ahead.
Yeah, it's pretty different than if you're a player of Diablo 3 and you're going through season journey. If you remember, like going through each chapter required you to finish every single little bit of it before you could progress to another chapter. So this one obviously a little different in how you kind of approach it because you don't have to do every single thing. You can actually complete it beforehand by doing most of the objectives and kind of choosing specifically.
Yeah, like if I'm not a PvP
materials and items, and you can also unlock actual legendary aspects that go into your Codex of Power.
Oh, nice. So not just earn through dungeons, you can earn through the journey.
A different set of aspects, in fact, will be available through the Codex of Power in this way. And some of the new legendary powers we add in every season will also be made available through this method. So you'll still be able to find them as item drops, of course, but you can start being able to experiment and play with them pretty early on through these drops. And then the last thing I think is worth talking about here is every time you complete one of these objectives, you're going to also be earning favor. Which is a kind of an experience system that is used by the Battle Pass. But with that other way, so you get like little drops from completing the objectives and big drops of that also from completing the chapters. But when it comes to long-term progression in the Battle Pass, like, Caitlin, would you mind maybe walking us through some of how the Battle Pass works?
Yeah, absolutely. So I know there's been a lot of questions about the Battle Pass, so let's talk through it today. So this is the Seasons tab, and this is going to be
Cool-ass sword.
The hub for all things Seasons. Under that top secret label, you can see the season journey. And then at the bottom here, you can see the actual Battle Pass. And what you're seeing is a mix of the free tiers and the premium tiers of the Battle Pass. The way that you progress the Battle Pass is, like Joe mentioned, by earning favor. And there's two sources of it. You get it from the season journey, like Joe mentioned, but you also get it from leveling up and playing any seasonal character. So there's 3 levels of the Battle Pass. There's the free track, which, like the name implies, you don't have to pay for. Everybody has access to that. The premium track, which is roughly $10 depending on where you are in the world. And then there's the accelerated track, which is just like the premium track, but it has includes 20 tier skips. It's folks who might have gotten a late start and a special cosmetic. And that one is roughly $25 USD, depending on where you are in the world.
Ouch. Ouch. As a non-United States citizen, someone who lives in Canada, ouch. That is like $33 roughly for me. But I guess the key is you don't need 20 skips. You could actually just play the game, I guess.
But let's talk a little bit more about the free and premium tracks. So the free track has 27 total tiers, and what you're primarily getting from the free track are what's called smoldering ashes. And the smoldering ashes are going to be like the currency that you use to unlock seasonal blessings. So the seasonal blessings are different buffs you can get that will help accelerate your progress through the season. So you can see, for example, here, plus 3% to XP earned. That's going to help players, level up again, level up multiple characters. And all of these are really just meant to help players through that seasonal progression, through that seasonal journey. It's important to note, though, that there is a secondary level requirement on every free tier of the Battle Pass that contains smoldering ashes. So for example, if you were level 1 and you bought a bunch of tier skips and hadn't played yet, you wouldn't be able to access the smoldering ashes and spend them until you had actually leveled up a character and met those level requirements. And this is to prevent folks from buying a ton of tier skips and keep everybody on a level playing ground. So that is.
I had a question about that actually. So. Yeah. There are no smoldering ashes available in the premium track of the Battle Pass, right?
That is absolutely correct. It is all the things that affect gameplay are only in the free track.
Okay.
And so that basically we've said our.
Okay. I know what they're doing. So they're putting, because the community always bitches and it's a fair bitch. But the community always bitches that they should be able to obtain, things in-game for free. So they're putting all the in-game stuff in the free one and then, just cosmetic stuff probably in the paid. So it would be probably no different than buying a mount on the WoW store, you don't earn it in-game, you don't need it, but it's there if you want it. Yeah. Granted, we're only halfway through here, but that's my thought at the moment. Where they're going with this.
It's always cosmetic based, so there's you can't pay for power in Diablo 4 because, as you saw, the stuff the season blessings are on the free track, and they have a level requirement, so you actually have to play to get to a certain point. So it keeps everybody in a level playing field. Right.
You may not pay for power in Diablo 4. So yeah, let's talk about next the premium track. So like I mentioned, $10 USD depending on where you are in the world, and this contains 63 total reward tiers. So you add that to the 27 from the free track, you get the 90 total tiers, in the Battle Pass. Yes. There is a ton of value in that premium track. So you get 2 full armor sets for every class. And they're really themed to the season. They're meant to be like a celebration of that season's theme. And there's other stuff in there. There's the seasonal mount. There's the seasonal mount armor, which you can see here on this screen. And then there's just a bunch of fun other little cosmetics like role-playing clothing. For example, we have a big, pair of white bloomers in there. So there's lots of fun stuff to find in the Battle Pass.
I know, that's what I wear when I role play.
I think that's actually a really fun idea, though. So like, it's not necessarily like big armor or things, but just more other stuff. So if you want to like play a particular role, like there's options for some of that stuff that you'll find.
And you can mix and match all of it. So you can create all kinds of ways to express yourself.
What's nice is that you just said there's 90 tiers, and a season is 3 months, right? So you have quite a lot of time. You have essentially 120 days to do 90 tiers, which seems doable.
Yeah, we want it to be achievable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, great.
I want to call it one thing also. Then we were looking at that image before. There's that top secret label on the left.
Yeah.
Like that is explicitly a link that will bring you to some part of the season journey as well. The only reason it says top secret there is because it's got language in there that I do not want to make sure that anyone is able to read to give away what's happening in season 1.
Exactly.
Otherwise, people know about the zombies.
Otherwise, people know about. It's not a zombie season, Ron.
You use the example, Joe. That's on you. That's
I was
not on
just
me.
trying to pick something. Okay. I'll say something. The season of the circus next time. Whatever. So actually could be kind of cool, like a devilish circus sort of feel. All right, I'll talk to people
Scary
about that.
clowns.
It's scary clowns, yeah, for sure. So yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, it's nice to get a little more information on the battle pass, like out there.
Right, and so we talked about progression.
Yeah.
We talked about both in the season journey and in the awesome battle pass. And so now when we think about what the seasons also provide is like obviously we're hearing about balance. We're going to be hearing about hey, how do we improve people's experience based on what we saw in the previous season? And actually, before we get into that, if I can interject, I'll steal one of your questions from Q&A. Can I do that?
Go right ahead.
Oh yeah, all right.
So one of the things that comes up, I get a lot on my Twitter feed is around, hey, how do I think about, Diablo 3 seasons, Kagan said it earlier about like your seasonal character, that notion of do I have to re-roll to get into and experience the season and experience the narrative wrapper, to experience the mechanics, to experience the progression. Basically, do I have to start a new character?
Yeah, so
If yeah is the answer, I gotta imagine that the leveling progress will be a little different because it takes like 150 hours minimum to level a character. So yeah, I kind of imagine that the seasons are not going to be like D3 was, Yeah.
So Diablo 4 is balanced around the idea of trying to make sure that level up experience from 1 to 100 is really engaging and fun and very punchy when items drop for you, that your power progression feels a certain way as you play. So you do, as a result of that, we do balance around the idea of playing over the course of a quarter character, right? You can play a lot longer than that if you want, absolutely.
Right.
We want to make sure it feels really good to play inside that 9-day period. We are going to be having players like re-roll and make new characters with every new season and be able to experience the growth of their character over the course of each of those quarters.
And I think you might have said it, but just because you talk really fast, I want to make sure it's really clear.
How dare you? No one has ever said that about me.
I'm a fast talker and you beat me. So the notion around, though, that...
I think he talks like normal speed. I didn't find that was like too fast. Seemed kind of normal to me.
You basically have to complete the campaign at least once before you can truly experience the season, right?
Yeah, that's true. Actually, there's a couple things that so once you unlock a couple things, you'll have them for your account from that point forward. I can just kind of maybe just throw all
go right
those in
ahead.
right now.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean, we get so many questions about it. I think it'd be good if we clear it.
Yeah,
out,
sure. So first thing is, when you complete the campaign on any character, whether you're playing in the hardcore mode of the game or the normal mode of the game, no matter what difficulty of the game that you're playing and you beat the campaign on, from that point forward, every character that you make, you're going to have the option to skip the campaign as part of playing that character. So if you play the campaign as part of the this pre-season period before season 1 begins, and you finish it, when you start playing in season 1, you can choose to skip the campaign as part of your playthrough, which means you get to experience the new seasonal content right away. Otherwise, you can still choose to play through the campaign in seasons, but you'll need to finish the campaign content before the seasonal content is going to begin for you. So just things to think about as you play. So that's the first thing you get as kind of an account level unlock for your character as you play.
Right.
The second is when you're playing.
So kind of similar to how hardcore was unlocked in D3, because that's how that one worked. Is you couldn't make a hardcore character if you didn't have the campaign done.
Through the campaign, you're going to reach a point in the story where you're going to unlock your first horsey. And when you get your first horsey,
Horsey.
Once you unlock your first horsey, you're then going to have the ability to basically mount up with every one of your characters from that point forward, including characters you might have already rolled at that point. Having unlocked it once, you've got that as an account level achievement effectively for yourself. You'll be able to start like
future seasons even. I can
Yeah,
just like
future
start a
seasons.
new character, gotta
That's
get my
right.
horsey.
Level 1, after skipping the campaign or even playing through the campaign in the following season, you're gonna be able to like just go ahead and mount up right away.
My horsey's in my cave with me?
Yeah, your horsey, yes, the horsey that died is then going to immediately revive, and then you're going to play with the horsey right away.
Zombies.
Spoils.
We have showed the video. People know. Okay.
And zombies,
Honestly, though, if I spoiled that moment, then I do deeply apologize, and we should put spoiler warnings on
I
these
think
things.
that Kagan brought up like zombie horses now is
That was
specific,
like-
it leans right into
That was totally spoils. Luckily, I don't give a shit. But, yeah, as far as I knew, the horse just died. But I guess at least I know that the horse comes back.
that seasonal theme.
Yeah,
Pivoting.
yeah, absolutely.
3 weeks before lunch.
Yeah, sure. Sound off in the comments if you want zombie season. Let's hear it. Okay, so that's the second thing. You'll have access to your mount that you unlock. And then the last thing is that there's, as you're playing through as you probably played as part of like the open betas that we've done, and we will see again in SummerSlam, you'll be finding these altars of Lilith throughout the world.
Server slam.
What did I say?
Summer
Server Slam, everybody. It has nothing to do with SummerSlam. So yeah, during the server slam, wow, I really didn't I? So during the server slam, you'll be finding altars of Lilith throughout the world. And when you collect these, you get two things. One, you'll be getting renown, which is going to be basically used to get a number of different, rewards for your characters on that realm from that zone. So new skill points, new healing potion charges, things like that you got a chance to see before.
Right.
But you also get a permanent stat boost,
Right.
for all characters on your account.
One of the main reasons to go after the altars.
Yeah, right. But we don't want you to need to necessarily go after them every single quarter to go and collect all of these. We think it's really fun, particularly the first time, to go and find all of these things.
Right.
So once you get that stat boost the first time, that stat boost is going to apply to all other characters in your account from that point forward.
Right.
Yeah, so you don't have to get those over and over again. And when it comes to renown, you don't need to go get every altar of Lilith to finish off the renown track in each one of these zones.
Sure, it's like the season journey. You don't have to do everything in the renown track to get all the renown. You can do it. Maybe I want to do. Maybe strongholds are my favorite feature, so I can lean into strongholds or whatever. So, but what you're saying is, hey, I played the campaign. I found all these altars of Lilith the first time, and now when we go into a season, they are hidden again. But I still keep all the buffs I got the first time, all the things that are permanent, like the +2 intelligence, +2. God knows I need +2 intelligence, and +2 strength and what have you. But the idea of going and finding an altar to add more renown to the pool to progress, I could still do that. Like
Absolutely.
I can still go find them if I want to.
Yeah, and you get a little bit of experience for doing it as well. So yeah, they're still kind of fun to stumble across as part of your regular play experience within a season. You just don't have to get them all again if you don't want to. There's other things you can do instead.
Okay, so I think we covered what sticks around.
That's right.
So that's great.
But like the entries in your Codex of Power are going to reset, so you're going to have to go find those aspects again.
Go
like
to the dungeons.
Yeah, go to the dungeons again. So yeah, those are the things you're going to reset.
Yep.
Great. Okay, so that definitely great long-term. That was really on topic, actually, in terms of long-term progression, because it actually is long-term progression.
Yeah, by the letter of the law, it's long-term progression. So yeah, Brad's 100% correct. Thank you.
But when you think about what else the seasons provide an opportunity for, like you talked about, like all these things. Okay, we have a new quest line, we have new mechanics, we have all this progression, but it's also an opportunity to kind of react to player feedback and also what you're seeing in terms of the data coming in terms of balance or things that maybe we need to smooth out and sand down.
Yeah, absolutely. So we know that operating a live service game with Diablo 4 after the game launches and seasons come out, that is going to be basically it's the best versions of this are always a conversation with the player base as we play and a conversation with the community as we play. So as we're going to be receiving feedback and we're seeing how certain features and content is performing, that gives us opportunities to sort of like respond to that feedback and react to it with updates to the game. Now, things take lead time, so if we see immediately after launch that there's something that we could get maybe make an improvement on, it's tough to like immediately and very quickly turn around like big changes. But we want to make sure that we are carefully iterating to make Diablo 4 the best version of itself that it can be as we go.
Sure.
Yeah, and this is like it brings up to the point like where we just had betas and we literally took the feedback that we got from the community, which we, we're obviously super appreciative of because it just makes a better game in the end of the day, and people will actually be able to experience those changes from the beta in the Server Slam weekend this coming weekend because of that feedback. So players providing feedback on our forums, on Reddit, social media. We're always reading through all of that stuff to have that. So yeah.
And I think it's worth mentioning too, in terms of the way that, like, in order to do to have a game that has seasons all the time, and sort of this, or like having quarterly seasons, you're not like once season 1 launches, we start season 2. Like season 2 has to be pretty much like very much in flight, and that's what I think Joe was talking about around the idea that we're going to be as responsive as we can. So if there's a bug, or especially if it's something we can fix on the server, like we'll do things quickly.
Yeah.
But if there's a big change, it may take a season to get there, just because season 2 is already mostly in the can by the time season 1
That's how game development works, everyone.
What? You're developing things ahead of time? Unbelievable. That's why we know we have zombies. And so, but just something in terms of patience and understanding is like the way that you have to build seasons is you're basically having 2 seasonal teams that are leapfrogging each other with, like, you know, we kind of call it the odd team and the even team, to be able to keep up that pace. And so that's why I was like, oh, I saw this thing in season 1, it's definitely addressed in season 2. It may not, if it's big enough. It may be that season 1 thing we saw is in season 3 because it was big enough to require that time.
I still think, and they're probably going to say this ahead, but because, you know, I do my research, you know, I know. But they did say that they're going to do 4 seasons per year. Their seasons are going to last 3 months. So, like, I think they are, you know, they're lining themselves up for issues. You know, like, I get that it's a battle pass type thing as well, but like D3 had some downtime after a season, you know, and I think you need a little downtime after a season, even if it's just short, like a couple of weeks. Like if they're planning 4 seasons per year, then it's gonna be like season ends, season starts, you know, like, yeah, I don't know about that.
Yep.
So
That's absolutely right.
Just understand how that's all working.
Yeah, so like reacting to bug fixes and other things, that's going to be another really big part of the live service team's job, right? So like everything we're doing within seasons, we want to make sure that we're constantly responding to that kind of feedback from players and kind of making the game better as time goes on.
Well, the other part of the season is, like, you know, we've got a lot of positive response on our character creation. And it would be great to get Kagan back in to talk about sort of how we think about customization during the season, because we know they're like, maybe talk a little bit about what you can actually find in the world, but also, you know, what we're excited about with the shop.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the game is full of hundreds of incredible transmogs, you know, that you'll unlock just by salvaging gear. And the transmogs in the game really give you this this power, this sense of like visceral power progression for your character.
Right.
And so they're meant to really like bring that to life, grounded in Diablo's story and its world and its lands. And what the shop offers is a lot of diversity. So like the way that we wanted diversity of like the fantasies
Sure.
that you can experience and that you can express. So the way that we wanted to support the development of the seasons was to, you know, add things to the game that players would appreciate, you know, to create art and beautiful things that are grounded in Diablo 4's world and its art style, but provide this like array of class fantasies. And so, for example, if you want to be like a thunder goddess as a sorceress, or you want to be a big barbarian that like rips the tongues out of your enemies and puts them on your armor.
Very specific.
Right?
That was very
I
specific.
like it though. That's good.
Yeah.
And puts them on your armor.
You know, the shop is going to help provide a lot of this like diversity in the types of fantasies, and then you can take all those pieces and mix and match them with the cool stuff that you find in the game to express yourself all kinds of ways. And
Yeah, I think one fun thing about this too, like players got a chance.
The
like I saw,
tongue ripping, is that the fun thing? Is that
There's-
absolutely,
yeah, tongue
absolutely.
ripping.
But no, I was actually going to talk about. I was going to talk about our previous betas. We got a chance to see a lot of players making really cool-looking, customized characters in the game. And all of the gear they're collecting, it's still very low-level gear. There's much more stuff to go find.
Wait, there's
Yeah,
more
wait
beyond
till you
level
get
20?
to the end game.
There's a lot more looks and appearances to find as you're progressing through more of the game.
One of the things I love about the equipment that's in the game is that we actually do regional themed armor and such.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, this is not.
Here's our side-by-sides.
This is not my point, but it's fine. It's good to speak to your point. Maybe all I was going to say quickly before, so Kay can go back and talk about this. But I just think it's really cool that we have like regional looks, like the notion of like, oh, there's a there's like a Hawazar look, and there is a Fractured Peaks look, and that kind of thing. That is kind of interesting. That when you go into a particular zone in the world and you start collecting loot, you're actually picking up pieces that are of that zone, so you can actually dress more like a person from that zone if you wanted to.
That's right, particularly of the legendary gear when you're leveling up 100%. Yeah, so there's a lot more to discover even after that as you get into world tiers and more.
Did you want to, Kegan, you want to talk us through some of the examples?
Yeah, let's take a look at some of the shop armors.
This is tongue ripping, right?
Yeah,
No,
you can see
no.
blood right out of the mouth, right there.
I don't know if the names are final, but this guy, I think his name is Death Raven.
Okay, so that's why she's here. She is the shop talker. Yeah, I was wondering at first because I've never seen her in any of the dev streams. But yeah, it's clear. Yeah, I love I love how they picked a woman to do that. Yeah.
You can see sort of like a side-by-side of in-game armor for the barb versus like a shop armor.
I think I just want to one thing. I think it's so funny that we accidentally got these really awesome poses for the in-game armors. The shop armors are just a person standing.
Deadpan.
Like this was.
He's checking his look in the mirror.
This
Like,
wasn't completely intentional, but it was a funny.
It was
funny
totally
thing
an
that happened.
accident. It's because two different teams made the
it's-
pictures.
It's,
But yeah,
it's just funny, is all.
but yeah, let's look through some of the other side-by-sides. But again,
big
see,
She's
shorts
very
are-
excited to have
She's
found the
just like,
armor.
oh, I'm here. And then we have one of my favorites from the shop there. Oh, yes, and this is Rogue side-by-side. So you can see, I think, the shop
I like
Rogue
the
here is
shop
Death
one
Walker.
better.
So keep an eye out for tons of really cool, diverse
I love the
fantasies in the
tassets.
shop.
But the other two, I liked the in-game better. But this one for the rogue, I like the shop better. My logic, and I've said this many times through some WoW streams, but it's like Battle Pass and all that is part of gaming now. It's, you either buy it or you don't. And yeah, there's no reason to be upset about it. Like if you don't like it, then you just don't buy it.
I love the tassets on the in-game armor, and I love the pauldrons on the shop armor.
Just use the word
so cool.
tacet. I didn't.
There's honestly like
I've been in fancy games
the
for a long time.
MTX is focused on collection, right? Like it's not like we're trying to like put only the cool stuff in one channel or the other. There's awesome stuff to collect from the game and the shop.
And like you said earlier, like you can mix and match, create your own fantasy, which is really cool.
See, now we're talking my language with the necro. But like, for example, if I really like the in-game look, but I want that the shop helmet, like when I buy that armor set, I can take that helmet and apply it to my in-game if I wanted to. Yes.
That's right, and you can dye everything.
Oh, in the
So,
wardrobe,
like,
I can actually recolor everything too.
yeah, you can dye everything from the shop and in the game. I think there are 8 colors in the dye palette. So yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't had a chance to check that out during Server Slam, you should make sure that you get a chance to play the wardrobe and try dyeing some gear.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like I did that during
So that's
the
customization.
one
And then
before
one more
that
thing
too.
related to customization, not
Transmog
tied to
was like the first thing I went
we
after.
already have a good coverage on. But you will also be adding new like legendary powers, like I called out before, and also new unique items with every new season. Make sure there's like new builds and ways to kind of like create customized characters.
And those will stay. Those aren't seasonal. Those
Yeah,
are,
those will be going to the Eternal Realm as well as the Seasonal Realm, and they're going to be evergreen. They're going to be there after the season is over.
Hold up. What do you mean those will stay? What? Do you lose your seasonal shit? What? Okay. We'll keep watching.
Continuing to add to the pool.
And so speaking of evergreen, like that's true. Like there's potential to add side quests and things like that. Like there's ways to continue to enrich the open world through seasons that will actually stay as people sort of move from the season into the Eternal Realm or to the next season. Yes.
Yep, 100%. We are going to be looking for those opportunities to kind of continue to add to the world of Diablo 4 and continue to build out Sanctuary. These are things that we're really excited about as a team.
And we never actually, I think that maybe that might have been the first time someone's mentioned the Eternal Realm, but like that is the intention, much like Diablo 3, that a seasonal character will, be in the season playing everything that we've been talking about so far, and then when that season ends, that character will then
transfers.
move to the Eternal Realm where it will live on. And you
With
can
all
choose
the
to play
stuff,
there, or you
right?
can choose for the next season, roll a new seasonal character and go again. Yeah.
That's absolutely right. So the characters will get merged down in the Eternal Realm at the end of the season, giving you an opportunity to take some of the stuff that they collected over that period of time.
Okay,
and build
good.
new characters as part of
Because
the
There's
that
no
was
reason to
sounding
feel
bad
like,
to me for a bit
like
there.
to shy away from starting a new character on the season because you will retain all of that progress. But,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Okay, cool. And so what about when we think about when I play the main game outside of a season, we know we have capstone dungeons to be able to change my difficulty tier. We know that at the end there's some mysterious level 100 boss that I want to try to get, max out and prove I can beat this level 100 boss at level cap. Like, are there other things within seasons that are kind of like that, or how do I think about that sort of notion about like this sort of?
You should be like 105 or something.
Well, once again, Rod Ferguson, I couldn't ask for a better tee up in this case. Let's discuss the idea of aspirational challenges. So with every season, we want to continue to build upon the end game and the goals that players can have for themselves with every season of Diablo 4. And we've got some particularly big ideas as we go through the first couple of seasons when the game launches. So with every season, but we do want to continue to add these really, really pinnacle challenges for players to go and engage with.
Pickle challenges?
Pinnacle challenges.
Pinnacle?
Challenges?
We all heard pickle challenges.
Zombies and pickles is,
All right, okay, fair enough. All right, so
And SummerSlam.
at
It's a
SummerSlam.
sandwich.
this is the level of respect that Joseph Pike, as the game director, gets on Diablo 4.
I'm looking forward to the pickle challenges, all I'm saying.
Yeah, same. Okay, so basically, we want to make sure that we've got these new big challenges for players to go and engage with.
I'm just gonna say, like I said earlier, I was really interested in this one because the comments got disabled, right? So I knew people were disliking something heavily. Clearly, people are just pissed that they're talking about the battle pass. I think this is a hilarious fucking dev stream. They're funny in this one. I like it. Yeah, who cares if they're talking about the battle pass? Like, we knew for a long time that was part of it. No one should be surprised.
Every time we release a season. And as we go, we'll continue to add more depth to this. One thing we want to be very careful about is we're not looking to just sort of like arbitrarily continue to make the game longer and longer and longer and longer to play.
Right.
That's not the goal. Again, we are balanced around hitting level 100, earning your Paragon points, getting all of your legendary unique items. That's the real focus of power progression for the player. We want to provide new and distinct opportunities for players to kind of express that power and new goals to chase over the course of the season, without necessarily making like just more stuff that you have to go through in order to play the game. So yeah, things we're very excited about. New bosses, new major encounters, new dungeons, new things. And then as we see how players are reacting to the game as it is, we'll continue to build in that direction as well.
Yeah, and I think it's really interesting when we talked about like side quests and things that I think it's also true kind of for the end game is that we may use seasons to experiment with new in-game features, and then if it's working really well, we might decide to keep it. If it's not working quite so well, we may have it leave with the season, and then maybe bring it back later. And what I like about the kind of quarterly seasonal flow we have going is that it allows us to experiment a little bit and see what works and what doesn't. And if it doesn't work, we know it's only there for 3 months. If it does work, hey, maybe we should have it stick around. So it's a great opportunity to try stuff out.
Absolutely, particularly as it relates to content too. It's like just being able to bring in like these really tough encounters and different bosses and things of that nature. And then these mechanical features, as we see how they perform and we see how players react to them, we may or may not decide to keep them on, to your point. And if they're particularly popular, we decide to keep them in.
Awesome.
We want to hear from players about what's working, what they're enjoying, and also, what kinds of fantasies they want us to make in the shop. So let us know anything that you want, gameplay or from the shop and battle.
Yeah, it's like I said earlier.
Oh, I think you worded that wrong, though. That might be why. That might be right there why there was hate. Because, yeah, you just worded it wrong, Chucky. You should have just said in-game and shop, but you said shop. So now they probably think that the only good shit is going to be in the shop. Yeah. And that your main focus will be the shop. Yeah. And whether that's the case or not, you don't want them thinking that, You can let them find out when the game releases, Like, you don't want them thinking that before it releases. Yeah. So that's that small few seconds is probably what did it.
This is ultimately going to be a conversation, and as we see how players are actually playing Diablo 4, that's going to help us advise us on how we want to build Diablo 4.
Corpse exploding necro look. I'm looking for a corpse exploding necro.
I think we got you covered.
Oh, okay.
You're gonna have to stay tuned.
That was their end.
Okay.
Yeah. And I will
covered.
say, like, I know we glossed over it really quickly, but we were talking about like meta changes and things like that, and like balancing and whatnot. That is included in the feedback. That is incredibly important for hearing from players related to that.
Yeah, I don't want to skip over that either. Thank you, Adam, for calling that out. So, if Diablo 4 is a game about choice, we want to make sure that we don't allow balance issues persist so long that they start to kind of interrupt or disrupt that choice that we're trying to provide for players. We don't want like any one particular build to feel so powerful that there's not a reason to play other builds within a season. So we want to make adjustments to make sure that player builds that might not be seeing as much play, get buffed and adjusted appropriately to make sure that they do see more use as time goes on. That is important to us. We will be making those changes on a regular basis.
Yeah, we don't want.
So you're working on Druid then?
Class and have builds that all are equally as effective in terms of being successful. We don't want to be like only Whirlwind Barbarians can succeed, so only everybody's playing.
Yeah, that's the ideal. The reality is that every season will be like something that's a little bit more powerful than something else. Sure. We just want to make sure that the distinction, the divide there is not so great that it feels like you're making the wrong choice mathematically to ever play anything beyond whatever's considered meta for that moment.
Right. Well,
right.
It's not like RPG players are min-maxers at all. They never try to do the most with the least ever.
Joe, like, dead man.
I'm not signing up for that.
Look at his face.
I think in the spirit of managing expectations and ripping Band-Aids off, I do think there's something we haven't talked about that we should at least say, knowing that we haven't talked about, which is leaderboards. I think the notion that I think people with Diablo 3 and even like D2R as an example, the main thing about a D2R season is a leaderboard. And so just saying that in the early seasons, at least for season 1 and 2, there will not be a leaderboard. And that is something, again, as I said, a lot of stuff's already in flight. We understand the importance of leaderboards. We understand people wanting to be competitive in their PvE play, competitive in their build play.
When it comes to leaderboards, I only really care about one thing. And that's just how they maintain it. Like I don't give a shit if it takes you a bit to bring the leaderboards in, fine. You took 2 years in fucking D3, so 1 year's nothing. Cuz they did say that either at season 3 or after season 3 ends, they'll bring in leaderboards. I think it's season 3. Yeah, season 3 will have leaderboards. So no, because it was 9. Yeah. It's after season 3. After season 3 leaderboards, which is still a hell of a lot quicker. Because if they're thinking every 3 months a season, 4 seasons a year, then that's like less than a year we'd have leaderboards, right? But they always get filled with bots. And then it's pointless to rank. So yeah, that's what I'm more curious about more than anything. Like, yeah, I can wait as long as it doesn't get filled with bots, and no point in even trying to get on the leaderboards if there's gonna be bots on there with hours that are impossible because you would die by being awake that long and online that long. So yeah.
Be able to show their mastery of certain things, and so it's definitely on our backlog that is a thing we're working towards, to provide the player community with leaderboards as we move forward through seasons, but it's not something you're going to see in season 1 and potentially not in season 2. Again, I'm just managing expectations so you're not yelling at me on Twitter after. We hear you, we know we want it, we're working on it, it's just not going to be there at launch. Or
That's right.
season 1 and 2.
Yep. That's right. So we're going to take the time to do them right. We'll bring them on as long as soon as we can.
Awesome. Well, I know we have a lot of questions here, and we've been collecting questions through chat and so forth like that. So I did want to go into at least a little bit of Q&A from people in chat. So if you guys have questions, feel free to throw them in chat, and we'll try to answer as many as possible. But I know we did touch on this really quickly as we're collecting these questions right now. But when will season 1 launch?
Mid to late July.
Mid to late July.
So, I mean, and the reason around the timing is twofold. One is we want to make sure that we will launch this season, we launch it into the best state the game can be in to accept that season. We don't, there's a launch of a game of this scale there can always be some things that we have to work through and settle in. But two is just again, as Joe talked about, you need to be able to get through the campaign before you start the season. So by having enough time in what we call the preseason, and so in the preseason, Kagan, no battle pass because it's a preseason, but there will be basically a sort of a reduced scope shop. Yes.
Yeah, there'll be some things you can buy. You can sort of get a sense of what we have. There's, armor sets, mounts, and mount armors, and then there's some other cool things like emotes and headstones. So, like if you die on the field of battle, you can leave behind a monument that is special.
Nice. As we said, hardcore players, careful of PvP. When you die, you're dead.
Yeah, dead forever.
Dead forever.
Yeah.
So.
In the game.
In the game. No. We come to your house. We know where you live.
We don't have that kind of budget.
I thought that was
Snow Crash.
I thought that was our Butcher April Fool's thing.
It is.
Come
It
to your
is.
house and we kill you.
True hardcore mode. So that is a popular question that we've gotten where people were confused by like, hey, if you die in hardcore, like, do you come back to life or do you just like start off like with no gear or something
Roll
like
again,
that? It's like,
start
no,
again.
Yeah, you
start all
again.
over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's
and in PvP too.
But
Yes.
One of the things that's sort of different, the battle pass as you talked about is the armor and those sorts of things are class agnostic. That when I buy something or when I get something in the battle pass, I can apply it to whatever class I'm playing. But the shop is different because the shop you can actually target. I can go ahead and say, oh, I want this necromancer look, and it doesn't go across.
And it's very specific to like the necromancer fantasy.
Right, but it's not character based; it's account based. So if I, for whatever reason, roll 5 necromancers, I can apply that armor to all 5 of them. Right.
All future necromancers that you ever create. So for the infinite rogue like me, it's gonna get. I'm gonna get a lot of value.
Right. Okay, great.
All right, I'm gonna try to pronounce these names, and some of them are easy, thankfully. But I'm gonna try to include people.
I was going to say, he's like, I'm going to try this, but Bob asks.
So we have a question from Negative Capable. If we get the premium battle pass late, is the favor retroactively applied?
It is. Like you will earn the favor, and then it will unlock the tiers that, like the premium tiers that you didn't unlock because you hadn't unlocked the premium battle pass yet.
Yeah, like you'll still earn everything in the free track as well. Like you're kind of making progress like the whole time.
The whole
It's just a
time.
question of
Yeah.
whether or not when you get the premium versions, when you get to get all the premium rewards.
Yeah, then it'll just.
The way I see it, and this is how I'm gonna do it, but to me, like I've always disliked battle passes, but you adapt, right? Almost every game has it now, and you just adapt to it. I don't like the shop in WoW either, but I've been buying stuff off the WoW shop, So yeah, you just adapt to it. So the way I see it is that premium battle pass is pricey as fuck. So if there is nothing I really want out of it, I'm not buying that one, but I probably will buy the $10 one every 3 months because you get a good chunk of shit. But my understanding is the premium is kind of more about mount armor, and $25 is, it's a good chunk of money. It's like, on one hand, I guess it's nothing. $25 every 3 months, yeah, people fucking spend that in a day, right? But I'm not gonna play D4 like I play WoW, because I never want a game like that ever fucking again, where I collect everything, because then you are paying $25 every 3 months, no matter what, because you're collecting everything. Me, some months or some seasons, I will do the free. Some seasons I'll do the 10, and maybe some I'll do the 25. It really just depends on what's in that season. Yeah. And that's how I'm gonna roll.
Just suddenly unlock all those like locked premium tiers that you already went through.
And just a reminder, premium tiers just being obviously the cosmetics blessings are part of the free.
That's
track.
right. There are there's no smoldering ash in the.
Zip, zero, no smoldering ash, no paper power.
I'm just gonna say, I know that you're doing that to limit a little bit of hate, but like if they're gonna pay $25, you could at least add a little in there. Just saying. They're really like, as far as I'm understanding, it's 20 skips and like extra mount armor. Like I don't know if that's worth 25.
But that's also, just to clarify, like that's also true of the season journey, is that if I, let's say, I'm starting a new, I'm not getting the game till much later. It's season 2, and I'm buying the game at season 2. When I play the campaign, in the background, it's tracking the season journey accomplishments I'm doing while I'm playing the campaign. So not everything in the season journey is tied to like sort of open world seasonal play. It's also, some things can be accomplished by playing the campaign. And so when I finish and I go into the seasons, all of a sudden, ding, 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 a bunch of stuff in the season journey it will complete. Yes?
Yeah, that's the expectations. You're able to move through that season journey a little more quickly if you start in the campaign. You might not be able to like finish every chapter as you go, because there's going to be some things you have to kind of like participate in the season quest line or the season mechanics in order to be able to really get. But you will be making progress the entire time. But I don't think your hypothetical case is likely to happen, because obviously everybody is going to buy Diablo 4 on or before launch.
Right.
So yeah.
It's a good call.
Question from
QR code right here. QR code. If you would like to. I did not see that when I said that. Now I'm even happier.
question from Juck Lax. Around what level will you end up getting to the mount specifically?
So the problem wasn't the name, it was the
yeah,
question
it was
itself.
the question itself. I'm just trying to
30-ish.
Correct.
I think that is around level 30-ish. Yeah, it's around level 30-ish.
It depends. Like
Yeah, it really
depends
depends.
on
everyone's question
Saw it
is
in
gonna
a
be
post.
depending on how you play it. Open world.
That
playing,
wasn't
and
a
grinding up
lucky
your level
guess.
before you do the golden path on the campaign. Like basically the horsey, as you in pony. We use different names for these, but the mount is unlocked as part of your campaign progression.
Right.
So you have to play the campaign at some point to unlock the mount. If you decide, I'm not touching the campaign, I'm going to get to level 100 just in the open world, you will not unlock that horse.
That's completely true.
Yeah.
Question from...
So in other words, not 30, just do the campaign. Yeah, that would have been the better answer. Because if you're 30 and you don't do a campaign, you don't get it.
Tay2, are you going to move the altars each season so they're in different locations every single season?
Right now, the plan is not to move them every season. That's something we've discussed as a team. We'll see what the feedback is like, but right now we don't want you to have to rediscover the locations every time if you're looking for them, but we'll see how things adjust as we play.
Awesome.
Not hard for us to do.
Yep.
Yeah.
And just to mess with you, we might anyway. So
Maybe now I will.
yeah, exactly.
I like that you don't have to re-explore everything. It's the same with the Lilith statues. That's probably one of the upcoming questions, but they did say that you won't have to collect those every season too, which I think's yay.
Question from Slimy Saul.
People need
We
need more self-esteem in our community. I'm just telling you right now.
What about seasonal cosmetics? Are they account bound?
They are. So like if you unlock I assume you're talking about the shop and battle pass cosmetics?
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you unlock a armor for your barbarian, all future barbarians that you ever make, and on the Eternal Realm, on the Seasonal Realm, it's usable on all of them.
Cool. Kiddo asks,
Okay.
do ashes transfer over from previous seasons?
No. So with every new season, you'll be resetting and starting to go through your ash collection once again.
It's also like one of the things maybe we didn't call it, but like the season, because there's season blessings, there was actually one that was top secret. So there'll be blessing. Those blessings we'll be playing with those. So there'll be season specific blessings, and we may mess with what blessings are working or not. Again, it's part of the quality of life. Where we go like, hey, we see this as an issue, or this is not working the way, or we see another opportunity. So this is another place we can play every season.
Question from Infernal Odin. Do you need to have the premium battle pass for the blessings?
You do not.
Yeah, you don't.
That's why the ashes are
on the free track itself. So, and you need the ashes for the blessings themselves.
And it's, again, there's two conditions. You have to have the favor to get.
Personally, what I think they did here, and smart business move, but yeah, it'll piss off some of the community. But I think they probably were thinking of having the premium be like 15 or 20. And at that point, it probably was just going to be the extra 20 skips, because every game does that has a battle pass. You know, I've seen it in multiple where you can just pay a little extra and get the 20 skips, right? And so that's probably initially what it was. And then they realized that this is the Diablo community. They probably wouldn't sell that without extra stuff attached to it, right? AKA the mount armor. And that's how it's a $25 premium. And now it will sell because there's mount armor attached. And if they're smart, as a business standpoint, they will put some of the best fucking armor in that fucking $25 pack, right? And yeah, that's probably where their mind was. I almost guarantee you in the beginning it was just gonna be a couple extra dollars more than the $10 one. Yeah.
To get to those free tiers, and you need to have the level requirement so that you, again, so everybody's at the same place.
The only difference, and this is kind of where it's unfortunate, is that every game that does this is a free-to-play game. So that's the unfortunate part of this, is you're paying, like, for me, I paid the $130 because I wanted all. But average person would pay the $70 US price tag, and then you have this on top. Yeah, usually it's a free to play game, and then you're paying the battle pass and all that.
Place kind of from a play perspective, so there's no way to accelerate that, and that you're somehow using tier skips to pay for power. You're not. It's because it's on the free track, and you have to have a certain level requirement to be able to unlock that that ash to be able to use in the blessing.
Oh, this is a long name. I'm not going to try. Is every season to level 100?
Oh, I thought that was her name.
That is all.
Question from is every season. I'm like, wow, that is a long name.
Every season is
just shorten
every
it.
season to level 100.
I mean, the season is till.
It's like that's what I do to my own viewers. If they got a long ass name, I just nickname them. Yep. Like, I don't call system malfunction. I call them system. Yeah, you could just shorten it.
To the point where the player decides they've hit all the goals they have for
Till you
themselves
cry
each season.
uncle.
But I mean, you are going to start level 1, and you are going to play level 100. You know, if you choose to, with every season. Sure. But it's up for a player to choose what goals they want to really go after.
Question from Wittels. Will shop items stay in the shop, or will there be limited cosmetics too?
Oh, that is a great question. Sorry. So when items, the shop is actually personalized. There's limited shelf space in there. So, you'll see a set of items in the shop, and then they'll swap out periodically.
For 7 days.
Once a week on Tuesdays.
Yeah, I
some
figured.
New things will come into the shop, some old things will come out of the shop.
Even my Disney game does that. It's like, I think exactly, it's like 5 or 6 days. Yeah. So that one was easy to kind of guess at.
But when things leave, they're not like put into a vault. They will come back into the shop fairly frequently. Yeah.
And just the personalized, we actually have a thing like recommended for you, which is one of the things that's really interesting, is like when something leaves the shop, it actually goes into a pool of things that can be recommended. So if someone like Kagan, who's constantly playing Rogue, or somebody like me who's constantly playing Necro, they'll actually say like, hey, you seem to be playing a lot of Rogue. Here's some Rogue things that may either be new or something you may have missed previously, or hey, there's some Necro stuff. And so it's one of the things that's really nice about the shop, is it has a little bit of that, intelligence, and then that has a sort of recommendation engine where it can go and say like, hey, I noticed these you seem to be really interested in blood-looking things. Here's a new blood-looking thing, that kind of stuff. So I think it'll be a nice way to keep the shop fresh and interesting, and actually tailored to the person. So just to be so in the recommend for you, like Kagan's thing, her shop may look different with Rogue, as mine would be filled with Necros potentially. I mean, there'll be
you'll get a mix,
right,
but
you'll get
we want to make sure that the shop
I was gonna say because I know there's a bit of hate with D4 lately, but me personally, I like them all, like I had a blast playing all of them, even the druid, who is definitely on the weaker side of things compared to the rest. So how would they recommend for a person who probably is gonna have all these fucking characters like leveled more or less similar, you know? I will have to pick one in the beginning just to make sure at least one is fully leveled by the time seasons roll around. But yeah, I'll be interested. I think they'll probably go off your last logged in, or hours, but you know, yeah, I have a feeling that the hours are gonna be similar on all of them.
Serving you things that are actually interesting to you, and that we're not like forcing you to scroll through lots and lots of pages to find the exact thing you want. So, but to answer the question, no, when things leave the shop, they are not gone for good. They will rotate back in, and the shop is trying to show you things that you want to buy. Yeah.
Right. But there are, like, it's not just that section where things are being recommended. You also have class-specific areas. So even if I'm playing Necro all the time, but I'm really curious, I'm about to go play a rogue, I want to go and look at the rogue, that stuff's all there too. It's not like I'm only limited to the stuff that it's recommending. I can go and browse the shop as well.
All season in progress when a hardcore character dies.
So the things you complete in the season journey are all account bound, so you won't lose that progress. But the things that you collect on your character, that stuff's going to go away.
Yeah. So if you happen to find like really good gear or something, you're wearing it there, gone, just gone.
Right.
But the chapters you've unlocked or the favor you've earned,
Yeah.
That all stays.
Absolutely true. Yep.
Yeah, that is true.
Yep.
And then this is actually something that we should clarify here because someone Tesday was asking. I'm missing something, or Ashes. Is it still a pay-to-win mechanic since you can advance 20 levels on the pass by paying? The thing that you may not caught was that there is a secondary requirement, which is you have to get to a specific level.
That's right.
If to unlock that specific ash and
So even if you bust through those.
Which is weird because they showed earlier that you gotta get to level 8 to unlock it, but then you don't actually earn anything till 10. So I don't understand why they just don't make 10 the level. You think WoW will come to console? Never. No. I think that's just gonna be a running meme for forever. There's no way. Like there's too many fucking keys, and yeah, and I've played Diablo on console. I'm just gonna say PC all the way for both of those games. Yeah. Although Diablo is a better one on console because there's less keys, right? So yeah, I feel like they were able to port Diablo over to console a lot better than they will ever be able to port. Yeah, this was the dev stream that they did just before the server slam that we went through this weekend. Yeah, so it's the newest one, but it's like 4 days old. Yeah, MMO juggling is hard. Fuck yeah, yeah. I'm always surprised because back in Legion, I was really hardcore into D3 seasons. I was all about ranking on the leaderboards. And I was playing a shit ton of Legion because Legion was actually pretty good. And yeah, that was one of the toughest WoW juggles I did, was being really, really invested in 2 Blizzard games all at the same time. Yeah. Wish WoW would go to console, but it's just too much. Oh, for sure. For sure. Final Fantasy 14 is on an old system, which is why it is on everything. Yeah, the thing is, it was easy for them to do it with Final Fantasy because Final Fantasy originates as a console game, like, yeah. and they don't do add-ons. That's the most important thing. Is WoW is so invested in add-ons now, and they build their game around those add-ons. So that's why you'll never see it on console, because you'll never be able to get those add-ons, and because of that you'll never be invited to any raids, you'll never do any M+, and no one will want you, basically, because you'll be useless on a fucking console. As far as control support, yeah, there's people that play it with a controller on the PC, but it doesn't mean it's good. Like, yeah. I almost guarantee you they have the keyboard plugged in and they do half keyboard and half controller. Yeah. I missed out. I started at the end of BFA 6 months before Shadowlands. Yeah, you should play Classic. Yeah. Maybe you'd like Classic, but yeah. I've been playing since 2004, so I experienced all of it. Yeah. And it's definitely had its changes. Yeah. It's there's a huge difference in what WoW is today versus then. Hard when you play an MMO solo. See, I always hear people say that, but I started solo. You know, like all of vanilla was solo. And yeah, I had, you know, I was doing raids too, but you know, if it wasn't a raid day, I was solo. Yeah, I guess it's just different because back then, gaming was different back then, right? You weren't constantly on a Google page, you know, like the way of the internet was different, the way people socialized was different. I don't even think I ever kept track of how long I was out in an area or how long I was on a certain level. I just kind of played to play, and yeah, that was pretty much the way I was through vanilla, BC, and Wrath. I just kind of played to play, and then I think after Wrath was when, you know, more Google pages were being added and all that, yeah. Stopped at Lich King? Yeah, most people did. Yeah. That's like the prime WoW time, you know, like vanilla BC Lich King is the best time of WoW. Right, and it was just too easy to be a console gamer. Yeah, yeah. Like even right now, like I have every console. Yeah. Like my Switch is right on my desk here. PlayStation down there, Xbox over there, you know. Like at a time you just had them because of exclusive games, you know. Some games, if you wanted to play them, you just had to have a console. Yeah. Although I kind of always was PC and console because, like, I played the first Diablo, you know, because I'm no young duckling over here, right? Like, yeah. So I played the first Diablo, and at that time, I also was playing my Nintendo and my Sega. So I have always been a PC and a console gamer. Just I've always been, I would say, well, I don't know. I want to say more PC, but I think just because of WoW, I was more PC. I've played a shit ton of games on the console. You know, for the most part, for a long time, up until like maybe 8 years ago or something, I really only had a computer for WoW. Yeah.
Those first 20 tiers, by buying the accelerated pass, you won't have met the secondary level requirement on the free tiers that have smoldering ashes in them, so you won't be able to unlock them faster that way.
Yep, exactly. Funny question from Tactica. When will we get Rod's hoodie in the shop?
Ooh, good question.
Well,
I was talking about that earlier.
I sent people that were like, hey, if you want to go to this gear shop, and they only have smalls.
So technically, it's still there.
If you want,
Oh, okay.
If you're small.
See, I didn't know it was in the shop. I thought that was an employee sweatshirt because it's so good. Like all the best clothes is usually employee only. So I didn't even think we could buy that. I thought we'd have to buy the one Buddy beside him is wearing. I never really understood MMO games growing up. I was only FPS, didn't get mana spells and buffs. Yeah, well, I don't know if growing up's really the right word for it, but when I started playing them, it was a small niche community of gamers. Like lots of people that I knew had no idea what World of Warcraft was or any of the others like EverQuest and all that shit. Like yeah, it in the beginning around that time it was a small niche community. And then even WoW was small in vanilla. And it got a little bigger in BC and then it blew the fuck up in Wrath. Wrath had it on the television, you know, it was on commercials and yeah, that's really what got WoW like in the eyes of more casual people. People who, you know, don't live and breathe the internet and gaming. So yeah. D3 was my first, just didn't get Diablo. Started getting more into MMOs with ESO when I was 25, now 33, and all I play are MMOs. The older I get, the more I just want PvP raid and chill. Nice, nice. The only MMO I ever truly liked was WoW. I always said that if I wasn't a WoW player, we'd only play survival horror games because that's like the second thing I love the most. Yeah. As far as Diablo was always a nice little break from WoW for me, because one of the biggest reasons I love Diablo so much is because it's a putz around game, right? Like take D3 for example. I do my stuff in WoW, and then if I want to just kind of rift it out for an hour or two, I hop to Diablo and just do rift after rift, and then I go back to my WoW, and yeah, yeah. I always liked it because it felt less intensive than WoW, and yeah, which I know that's not a good thing to everyone, but it was a good thing for me because, you know, WoW keeps you busy, so don't have a whole lot of time for, you know, super, super grindy games. D4 might beat D2 for me. I think I love D4. Well, D4 is kind of like bringing D2 characters into a today's world, right? But keeping them kind of how they are over there, right? So I could see, like, if you loved D2, I could see you totally loving D4. You know, I think the only bad part of D4 right now is the monetization, but every game's like that now. Like unless you're buying like a Zelda game or something, you know, a game that ends, unless you're buying something that doesn't have continuation, you've got a battle pass pretty much, or a store, or you know, that's just the way the games work now. So it's like, you know, it's the worst part of it, but it's expected, you know, like, you know, plus in a sense, it's funding for them to keep making the game better, right? Like, yeah. I say the same thing with WoW. Like, people always are like, you know, they should remove the fee and, you know, we shouldn't have to pay a monthly fee. And my answer is always that the day they do that is the day the game dies because that fee helps them maintain the game. If they're not bringing in all that money, they're not going to maintain shit. You know? And they'll barely add anything new. And yeah, so same deal. Yeah. that's why I'm not one of those people that bitches about the monetization. Like, do I like it? No, I don't. But it's the way shit is now. Hopefully, because I'm worried about the monetization about it. Yeah, that's how games are now. But look at Immortal, which is why I had not kept up with D4. Yeah, I hear you there. I've played one day, and I'm a Diablo fan, you know? Like, I've played all of them, and yeah, I only played one day of Immortal. I didn't like that one. Mainly, it really wasn't that it was pay to win or anything. It was how intrusive it was. It was like every time you leveled, it was boom, store. Every time you did anything, the store would come up. That's why I didn't like it. I don't give a shit if they want to make money off of people, you know? Like, yeah. Like, you don't have to buy it, right? You can choose to not buy it, but it was that intrusive shit. Like that's why I played one day, because I just could not keep playing a game that was popping up windows. It's, yeah. It's kind of like, you guys aren't getting it because I've disabled it, but it's kind of like watching a fucking Twitch stream, right? Like you get, you watch 2 minutes, ad pops up. Another 2 minutes, ad pops up. Like, same fucking shit. But I have it disabled because I saw how intrusive it is on Twitch. Yeah. So that's why you guys are able to talk to me fairly decently right now. Yeah, I'm fine with the WoW sub. I kind of wish Blizz would remove the pay with gold. Fuck yeah. I'm with you there. Yeah. I hate to be that person, but if you can't afford a WoW sub, you can't afford to play WoW. And that's no one's fault, well, except for yours. Blizz would get more money and bring better content, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Immortal pay to win is the only way to play it, right? Yeah, it is unfortunate. Yeah. The way they did it was really unfortunate, because another reason I had decided not to just pick it back up after that one day is that, obviously PvP was an aspect of it, right? And when it's pay to win, people were spending literal thousands of dollars. And I'm not talking 10,000, 20, 50. Like, we're talking fucking 6-digit money here. Like, yeah. It was ridiculous. How are you going to compete? If you don't have a shit ton of money, how are you going to compete against that fucking PvP player? And a lot of them existed, so it's not like you can just avoid that one. There was a lot, because eventually it became a game between the whales who could spend the most, and that's what that's what the PvP world in there was. Yeah. So it was easy to make that decision not to go back. Oh, there was a guy even worse. I remember watching a video. That's why I said in the 6 digits, because I remember watching a video where someone spent 100,000, and I couldn't believe it. It's like here, I'm pretty much living check to check over here, and this guy's spending 100,000 on something that ain't even real. Like, well, if I had 100,000 to just blow, I'd get a new car. I would get some actual physical items, like, yeah, crazy. It's so, like, I like watching videos like that, because it is so crazy what people spend their money on. And it's like, not to sound vindictive, but I am a woman. But a part of me just hopes that they grow old and they can't retire because they fucking or they retire very badly because they spent 100,000 on a fucking game item when they were in whatever age they are. Like, yeah, that's how I think of it every time. Every time I see someone spend that kind of money, it's like you could put that to your retirement. Like one day, if you live long enough, you're not going to be able to work and you're gonna need money. And it's like, I hope you're fucking loaded, buddy, because you might need it down the road. Had a good laugh from that, but true, big regrets, right? Yeah, like if they're legit a millionaire, then fine, I guess you'll probably be okay anyway if you're smart enough to bank some money and invest it and, at least set up your retirement. But so many people are too stupid for that. There's literal YouTubers that have been millionaires and they go bankrupt because they were stupid with their money. Mainly because they made it when they were in their 20s. so yeah. It's like it could happen.
We are very aware of some certain things that we have in the shop that are very popular. One was the Lilith denim jacket with the hoodie sleeves that I think was awesome couple of years ago that I don't know why we didn't bring back.
And we were literally just talking about this before the stream started too.
Yeah, exactly. And so we know we hear the comments that I wear this because in any interview that's required me to sit, I need to hide all the folds and stuff. So I use this as my shelter. But people like it, so we need to bring it back in the shop and get more stock. So that's where we are.
Let's see. There is a question regarding when you skip the campaign. From Master Barbarian. You're probably playing Barbarian.
It's not guaranteed.
Shocker.
Good guess.
When you skip the campaign, what level do you actually start at?
Level 1.
Level 1.
Every character you make in Diablo 4 is going to start at level 1.
Okay, and I think I answered this wrong on Twitter, so you can correct me. When someone asked me when you skip the campaign, where do you start? I knee-jerked said you start in the cave, and that's not true, right? When you skip the campaign, you start in Kyovashad.
Yes. So for season 1 and for the preseason, when you skip the campaign, you'll start in Kyovashad.
That makes sense, because every time I had made a new character, I was like, fuck, I wish I could just start in the city. so yeah, that makes sense. Ew, he said denim. What is this? The 90s? Right? Yeah. Yeah, I think the last time, because I did have a denim jacket when I was a kid. And, yep. It was, I was a kid a long time ago. Yeah. So it's been the 90s, yeah. Yeah, that was probably around, maybe mid 90s, somewhere like that. But I do hear denim is making a comeback, so who knows? I think everything makes a comeback. They're talking seasons right now. And yeah. Yeah, so basically, since you came in late, I can kind of like speed it up for you here. So, seasons are gonna start like mid-July, early August. Well, mid-July to late August, actually. So that's when seasons come in. We're not gonna have leaderboards till at least season 3. And then a lot of the talk has been the battle pass. So they said you'll be able to get some smoldering ash for free in the free version of the battle pass. There's gonna be the $10 battle pass that brings you up to 90 items in total, and then the kicker is the premium, which is $25 and that's going to be 20 tier skips and 1 or 2 mount armor. They really are. Like I said earlier, I dislike battle passes, but I'm a hardcore gamer, have been for years, and you just gotta adapt. Like, this is just the world we live in. If you deny every game that has a battle pass, you'll never play any good game, right? Like, yeah, the unfortunate part is it can be a good game behind that battle pass. And yeah, so I'm with you. Like I am definitely one of those people that just like to buy the game and then be done with it. You know, I bought it, I'm good, I could just play it, you know, with the exception of, you know, something like WoW where there's an expansion you buy every 2 years, but still, you know, at least with WoW, even although they have the shop and all that, but if you don't care about like FOMO items and, you know, shit like that, you can just pay money every 2 years, you know, aside from the monthly, you know, pay to play, I guess. Which I guess in a way I'm still surprised WoW does. It's, you know, I don't care either or whether you pay a sub or you don't. But I am surprised that they still do it, but I think they still do it because they know that's the only way to keep the game alive. Because like I'm just gonna say Dragonflight is not very good. You know, every person that has said it's good is not playing the game. They're playing other games. And the people who say it's good and are playing the games are over in Mista Pandaria mount farming, you know? So either or, not a whole lot of people are playing actual Dragonflight content. You know? And when they do, it's a very limited. So, you know, with that said, and you know, BFA Shadowlands wasn't that great either. So they like that game is funded by people like myself, you know, people who have been playing since day one and are invested. You know, if we weren't invested, we'd probably stop paying the sub at least once in a while, you know? So I think because of that they'll never get rid of the sub. Yeah, because they would lose so much money. And, you know, one of the biggest ways I think they get people is that 6 month to a year sub. Yeah, because they always have amount, which triggers the FOMO. And yeah, I'm actually enjoying it. I don't care for the dungeons. Still haven't ran a raid. Been doing time walking when available. Time walking is not every week. You might think it is because they ran it. They did a thing where they ran it for 6 weeks. That was just a bonus thing they did. Usually it's every 2 to 3 weeks. Yeah. I also main PvP. Nice. My only complaint about Dragonflight is the damage PvP. Dam is too high. Yeah, I feel like a person like you would like Dragonflight, because you said you started in BFA, right? Like, yeah, I think it's important to know, like, when someone states their opinion on an expansion, it's important to know how long that person's been playing. I have my opinions because I've been collecting things and doing content in WoW for 19 years. Yeah. But a person who's coming in 10 plus years late is gonna have a shit ton of stuff to do, you know? Like, yeah, that's the difference. I think and I think that's why WoW survives. You know, it survives because new players will come in, and assuming they like it, because I find for a lot of the complaints is the leveling and that they're confused because, you know, it's an old game, so there's a lot of story and all that, easy to get confused, lots of content. But assuming they stay, you know, there's lots for them to do. So that's why WoW will never die unless they kill it themselves, shut down servers or whatever. There will always be new players. It's just a matter of how long they stay. And that's why they need to keep, you know, sub, and they need to keep adding things to the shop, and need to keep, you know, adding FOMO stuff because you need to keep players like myself. And players like myself would have left 6 years ago if it wasn't for, collection and, all that kind of crap. I was okay in 9.0 because it was the new shiny. Then I didn't play till 9.3. A lot of players are like that, where they come in and, patches are almost like new expansions. They'll bring old WoW players back in, or previous WoW players back in. Played the whole 11 months of 9.0. That was damn rough. I hear ya. I play WoW nonstop, and I have since 2004. So yeah, I've been there for the good, the bad, and the ugly, I guess would be the line. I like the BFA quest chain at his cookout. I laugh my hole off. But even collecting gets old after a while. Man, I got PTSD from 9.0. We were done dirty. Yeah. Yeah, the collecting does get old. What most of us do is and this is a horrible thing to actually even advertise, because you will realize how much you are missing from the game. But when you get to a certain point and you've played the game enough, and you're starting to run out of things to do, because, like, trust me, people will say you never run out of things to do, but if you play enough hours and you're consistent enough, you will start to run out of some stuff. Like, you'll always have achievements there. And so all the things is an add-on in WoW, and that's what a lot of people do after they start kind of feeling bored with certain content. But it is a collection one, so yeah, if you're bored with collecting, yeah. But that add-on is bad. Yeah, I've been using it for years, and the reason I say it's bad is because I, before that add-on, collected everything, went into, raids and all that, and collected everything that I hadn't collected before. And then when I got that add-on, it said, when I originally got it, it said I was 40% complete the game. I'm now at 80, but it took that add-on for me to realize how much I really was actually missing. Like, yeah. And then it's even worse if you trigger that add-on to show all fucking class wearers, and yeah, it's a crazy add-on, and it will make you feel like you've been slacking, even although you've been playing every fucking day. Yeah. So it's good if you like to collect stuff, bad if you ever want to feel done, because you'll never be done. That's like a shit ton of stuff, 80%. Yeah. Yeah. And then the worst part is FOMO's included in there. So if you if you don't, do all the FOMO stuff, your percentage will be lower. Oh, I'm content with never being down with WoW or done with WoW. I play to play, wasting time. I'm like that too. That's why I'm not one of those haters as far as WoW goes, or just a person that quits WoW. There's lots of them. Either they're hating on WoW or they've quit, or they've at least stopped or whatever. And I'm just, I will always play WoW. Just, I know what I like, I know what I dislike, and maybe I just don't do a certain piece of content for a little bit. A lot of the time when it comes to like current content, like, for example, Torghast last expansions, prime example, I actually liked it for the first bit, and then I didn't like it, and I stopped doing it. I just made that decision. So many people forget they have a choice, right? They just bitch about this system or whatever. And but the thing is, you have a choice. You know, you're paying for this shit. You decide what you play, you know. So I stopped doing that, and then I went back to it in Dragonflight, you know, when I just wanted to putz around in it. And yeah, even when it was current, if I didn't want to do it one week, I didn't. And if I did, I did. You know? Yeah. I think that's the biggest problem with a lot of, you know, online opinions of the game is that everyone talks like you have to do everything, and like, don't get me wrong, I'm a person that does everything, but doesn't mean that everyone's like that, right? Like, you don't have to like every aspect of WoW to like WoW. That's the glory of WoW. It's so many things, right? It's dungeons, raids, you know, PvP, you know, like pet battling, fucking running around in old areas, mount farming, pet farming, toy farming, achievements. Like, yeah, it's a lot of stuff. You can just do what you like. I want logging as a profession. How sweet would that be? You know, we kind of had it, you know, vaguely. You said you came in BFA, so you missed out, but you could kind of still experience it in WoW, but in WoD, which is one of my favorite expansions that gets a lot of hate by a lot of people. But in WoD, you could do logging. Yeah, you could legit go cut a tree down. Yeah, it was all part of the garrison. Yeah. Yeah, it was a system I hoped they'd go a little further with. Like, I think it would have been cool as shit to have made that into a profession. Yeah, that would have been awesome. Yeah, but it just never went further than the garrison. Yeah. Yeah, the reason I am not a hater of WoD is the garrison. And it's funny because that's the reason a lot of other people hate it. But the garrison had a lot of cool shit. You know, the stables got you a few mounts. There was literal assaults in your garrison that you could do for even more mounts. And there was, you know, you didn't have to be an enchanter to disenchant stuff because your garrison could provide that for you. You know, there was the fishing spot, which had a mount in there, and actually a few because there was one in the water, and then there was two on the rep. So yeah, and yeah, and then of course the Gladiator Sanctum. Fuck that. That shit's kept me busy for years. The Gladiator Sanctum. That was kind of that's the PvP aspect of the garrison. And yeah, I have never understood people's hate for the garrison because it had so much content in there. Yeah. Like the only reason I think people truly dislike it is because it didn't turn into like legit player housing. And people, the WoW community is so stuck on player housing, they can't think past that. I actually liked the idea and wish Blizz went more in depth with it. Like, this is my house. Yeah, exactly. See, I didn't know it was that much in depth, still a good bit. Yeah, it's you know, you wouldn't, right? Because people just bitch about it. You probably have never had that person that actually explains the garrison, right? Like, yeah, because there's also a pet area, and the pet area that you can build, it's your power level. Yeah, the I use it all the time when the proper day is. But like without the garrison, like you could still power level, I guess, your pets, but that's the best power level in the garrison. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with it. And I'm sure a lot of people that, you know, have just listened to all the garrison hate and decided not to do anything with their garrison probably have no idea that that's how you power level some pets. Yeah. And all the mounts. There's a shit ton of mounts out of the garrison. And one comes off the board, the mission board. So, yeah. Yeah, I think it was the best system they ever did, honestly. I'm also a fan of the mission board, so I was a little bummed out when they stopped doing that this expansion. Wow, yeah, I did not know that. Pet battles, I wasn't too crazy on, but something else to do. I mean, I like Pokemon. That was my childhood, so I'm down to try pet battles. See, I'm the opposite. I was, you know how some people are against certain things? My thing I was against was pet battles. Yeah, it faded after a while. But when they first decided to bring it out, I was like, fuck, now this game's Pokemon. Because I was not a Pokemon person. I still to this day have not played a single Pokemon game, and I disliked the idea of pet battles in an MMO. Yeah. I liked that I could collect pets, but I didn't like the whole idea, I was certain it was going to bring in like the wrong crowd. Yeah. And I, now I guess I've adapted to it, so I don't really have a hate for it or anything anymore. But honestly, the reason that I adapted to it was because of achievements, because I'm a big achievement person, and if you want to 100% the achievements, you gotta do everything. So, and Pet Battles was the one thing I wasn't doing in Mr. Pandaria. So yeah, it was, I didn't do it at all really during that expansion. I basically put it on hold till like WoD. Yeah, I was so dead set against it. Yeah. But in the end, achievements was the reason. Yeah. Maybe my change of mind for pet battles might be Stockholm setting in. Well, if you liked Pokemon, then you'll like pet battles. And like I said, it just took me a bit to adapt to it. They're not horrible, but I do think some of the achievements are horrible for them. The achievements are like 5-pointers when most achievements are 10, and then there's like win 5,000 PvP matches. Like that's a lot, I don't know if you knew that there's a PvP function with pet battles, but yeah, you can like go out there and pet battle on your own, or you can go find a team of someone else that wants to battle your pets. Yeah. But the achievements are they are like, you talk waste of time, pet battles. Yeah, when it comes to achievements, I'm never satisfied by any of those pet battle achievements. Yeah, they just take so long. The only achievements that I found were quick were the collecting ones. Yeah, but all those like family familiar and all that, like those are all 5-point achievements, and it's just so much work for 5 points.
You start in a grave as a zombie that you wake up and then you go into that.
It's zombie thing. Maybe it is. I don't know.
Now, people are just completely going to believe that. Like,
I know,
it's a
that's
zombie
the fun
thing.
I
All
was
pirates and zombies from here on out.
Just don't get like heavily attached to the zombie idea because it's not
Please
happening. So like, it's not happening.
It'll happen.
Will there be unlockable mounts or cosmetics through defeating like gameplay challenges, or will those only be through the shop itself?
Yes, there are some mounts and other things you can collect, like trophies, and certainly like titles and things along those lines that you will get from overcoming particular challenges throughout Diablo 4. So there's plenty of stuff to actually collect as well. Not just even just like finding gear on the ground and picking it up and salvaging it. There's other things you'll get as like achievement level rewards for having completed certain kinds of content.
And seasons will have new titles and new things like that.
Yeah, seasons can have like new titles and like again the aspects or things you'll be collecting as you play.
And then this was a question about the server slam stuff, which was if you have if they had the open beta app on PlayStation, do they need to download a different one? The answer is no, you won't. Here in like the next couple minutes or so, you will be able to 2 minutes. Well, 2-ish minutes.
It's already over.
2-ish minutes. Please don't come after me at like 12 o'clock when it's like not available.
Oh no,
right
you should
then and
totally
there.
Pez Radar on Twitter. Go after
Please
him.
don't. But PlayStation, that app will actually automatically update and apply all the
But
changes.
it's a fresh
that you'll have.
start. You're starting at level 1.
Yes, all your characters from beta do not move over with this server slam. You will have to start with fresh start characters.
And to be clear, like one good thing is this is a third opportunity to get. If you didn't get your wolf puppy pack, this is another opportunity. So if you reach level 20 with any character during server slam, which you have 48 hours to do it, and you could probably knock it out on a Friday with a little no lifing, but level 20 to get your beta puppy.
Man, you make me feel so bad, Guy, because I practically did that. So you're just calling me out, calling me a no-lifer, because like what I did is on Friday, I didn't log out, and this was done on stream too. So stream did not end until I hit the max level that you could be in the beta, which was 20. Now, if it had been available on Friday, I would have done that Ashava kill. But Ashava didn't show up till 9 a.m. and I hit level 20 at like 3. Yeah, it was like 3 in the morning, something like that. So I wasn't gonna like sit there and, you know, do nothing for 6 hours, right? But if Ashava had been up, that would have been me. I would have just, you know, afterwards killed Ashava and then logged, right? Instead, I did it on Saturday. But yeah, I pretty much no-lifed that game on Friday. Right, Mad? Yeah, they just calling me out.
Puppy pack, and then we have a new reward around defeating Ashava at level 20. So and it has to be level 20.
Yep.
And so
Look at this fancy graphic.
now the reward is
It's like a car
Being
commercial.
revealed. Wait for it.
wait
There
for
it
it.
is. Ta-da.
So
There it is.
to be super clear though, because I've had this question, it is not.
I did, you know, I do feel like I'm the oddball one right now because there's been a lot of hate and I feel like I'm the only positive person, you know, but I'm positive knowing about the battle pass and all that, which is funny because if there's anyone out there that dislikes, you know, spending extra money in a fucking game you already bought, it's me, you know, but yeah, I'm positive because I like the characters, you know. So in the end, it doesn't matter if there's a battle pass to me because I like the characters and, you know, I've spent that money anyway, right? I'd buy that game anyway. It still seems worth it. They say it's going to be like 150 hours per character to level. So you're looking at 750 hours if you're gonna play all of them. And I'd say any game that's under, you know, this one was a little pricey, but, you know, we'll say any game under $200. I really hope games don't get to that price ever. But any game under $200 that gives you that many hours of game time, and that's just leveling. That's not what you do after. So a guaranteed 750 hours of entertainment, yeah, it's worth it. Yeah, that's how I judge games, you know? Like, if, you know, I judge it off my time, you know? And in most games pass, for the most part. Like, unless they're really shitty. And this thing, I just like to say, looks pretty badass. I like it. That's why I no life to the weekend.